What's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Strength Classroom. Today I'm going to talk about a great lower body movement that allows you to work your legs without putting stress on your lower back. And I know what you're thinking, no, it's not the leg press. The movement I'm talking about is called a belt squat. Now what a belt squat is, it's not done with a barbell. Well, we'll get to that. It's not done with a barbell on your back. And it's done with a special belt. You can use a dip belt if you want, but normally it's with a nylon belt that has a clip and it attaches to the machine, and then you squat without having to have a barbell on your back or on your shoulders. Okay, and the main benefits of this is, like I said, it works your legs, it mimics a motor pattern that is very similar, if not identical, to your squat form, and it does not put any pressure on your lower back. In fact, it actually decompresses your spine. So it can be used as a strength, hypertrophy, and rehabilitation movement all in one. However, why have you probably never heard or seen a belt squat before? It's because these machines are very rare unless you walk into a specialized gym. Now you might be thinking, why is this better than a leg press? Well, for many reasons. A leg press does not mimic squat form. A leg press mainly works your quads, and I've seen people complain about leg press put a lot of stress on their lower back anyway, but that could just be they're not using the machine properly, which will cause injury no matter what machine it is. So let's get to the common ways that some people have tried to mimic a belt squat machine. I will order them from least effective to most effective, and I believe I've come up with a way that is most effective and closely mimics an actual belt squat machine. So let's start off with version number one. This is when you just attach yourself to a cable stack machine. The reasons why I don't like this is because the cable's pulling you forward more so than slightly forward and down. You don't get the same decompression benefits. You have to lean back, and this puts most of the tension on your quads. Now, if you're looking for an exercise to just pump up your quads, this would be the one. However, if you're looking for something to mimic squat form and give you additional squatting volume, this is not the exercise for you. Now, this is probably the most easily accessible in any public gym. However, if you are doing this version and you have access to a cable stack, I would prefer you just go on the leg press. Version number two. This is when you use a landmine attachment. Now, a landmine attachment can be onto a power rack. It could be in the corner of a gym. It could be in the corner of your home gym, and you put a barbell in there and it pivots up, down, left, right. Okay, basically you turn a barbell into a machine. Now, the reasons why I don't like using a landmine for the belt squat is that you have to hook yourself up on the floor and then stand up with it. Now, this is not that big of a deal, but if you're going to use a fair amount of weight, it's going to be hard to do with the more weight you use. Now, another reason why I don't like this is that your range of motion is restricted when using 45-pound plates. And this just turns it into like a hybrid free weight leg press thing that doesn't really offer much benefit for the trouble it is to set up. Now, you might be thinking, why don't I just stand on something? Which is a good solution. However, this makes it even harder to stand up and set up off the floor. So you're actually trying to solve one problem, but creating another. However, why I rank the landmine ahead of the cable version is that it offers greater spinal decompression. So by a slight edge, I'll give it to the landmine. Now, the best of the three, in my opinion, and this can be done in any gym, home gym or public gym, is you simply stand on two elevated boxes. You need to play around with it depending on your height and leg length will determine how much range of motion you need. And then you can hang anything from kettlebells to weight plates. You can even use a loading pin if you know what that is, and then squat from there. However, the setup can be challenging. You either have to load your weight and then stand onto the blocks, which could be quite dangerous depending on how much weight you're using, or you can rest the weight on something, lift it up, get a partner to remove whatever was holding the weight, and then squat from there. Obviously, for people that lift by themselves, that second option is not an option for them. Now, I will say this is probably the easiest one to set up depending on which option you choose, and it offers the greatest spinal decompression because it's pulling straight down. However, the loading potential is just not there on this exercise variation. So as you can see, each variation I just said comes with its own set of problems. None are really optimal that closely mimic a belt squat machine, but I've come up with a way that I honestly feel is very similar to a belt squat machine. So what you want to do is you need a power rack. If you're a home gym user, you already have one. If you're in a public gym, if it's a good one, it should have one. So what you're going to do on the side that you're not squatting, you're going to set up a safety arm slightly higher than the J hook on the side you are squatting with. Now on the side you're not squatting, you need some sort of counterbalance or else it's going to flip up and smack you in the face. So a 45-pound plate or two should suffice. Then use the appropriate amount of weight you're using on your side. I've gone comfortably up to 5 plates in this exercise and I don't feel like I'm in danger and I don't feel like anything's unstable. It's fairly comfortable. It's really comfortable actually. So what you're gonna do now is you're going to, obviously you need a clip to hold the weight from sliding off because it is on an angle. And you're gonna have to experiment with the type of angle you want, especially if you're a taller person, shorter person, wide stance, close stance. You're gonna have to do some experimenting. But once you've done it the first couple of times, it's really easy to set up. Then you also need a second clip on the squatting side of the barbell. Now, why do you need this second clip? You need it due to the fact that if it's not there, the chain will eventually slide off the barbell just because of the angle going downwards. So you don't want that to happen, obviously. So this prevents any sliding of the chain and it basically allows the exercise to happen. So to unrack, you just literally lift up, take 2 steps, maybe even not even that much, and just squat. Now, what problems you might run into depending on the power rack design is there might be a cross member at the bottom that the weights will bump into. Now, in order to remedy that, just put 2 blocks or 2 45-pound plates to increase the range of motion. Now, when you do that, you will have to raise the J hook and the safety spotter arm on the other side. However, this doesn't actually change the exercise, such as the Landmine version. All it does is giving you that space to have the appropriate range of motion. Now, the reasons why I'd say my version is better than the 3 I listed before is number 1, the angle of the pull gives you spinal decompression and mimics a belt squat perfectly. It does not put any pressure on the back and it's easy to set up. Now, why is it easier to set up? If you notice, all 3 other versions I showed you, they all set up the weight from the bottom. This one actually sets up the weight from the top, so you can start off the movement in a much more comfortable position. So hopefully you agree with me that my version is superior to those other 3. I would love everyone watching this video to try it out, but I will say this, including myself, including my own variation, and the other 3 I said, none of these will perfectly mimic a belt squat. However, I feel like my variation will mimic it the most and give you the most benefits while saving you a ton of money and saving you a ton of space. Nothing can perfectly emulate a belt squat. It's a specialized machine that a lot of time and work has gone into engineering it. However, I do think I've done a good job of trying to mimic it for anyone that would like to get the benefits, but not spend that kind of money. So, in conclusion, if you like this video, please click that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Share the videos with your friends if you think they'll like them as well. And as always, class is dismissed.